Hi everyone, I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. Thank you for joining us April 14th, 5 p.m. Pacific time for our regular 5 p.m. session where we talk about immigration, U.S. immigration, take your questions live about general educational stuff to help guide you and keep you posted on what's going on with the U.S. immigration system. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok, and we have a free raffle. Today's going to be a special one. We get 3 people will get free 15-minute consultations. If you're watching, like, comment, only people on YouTube, but like, comment, and then that you like a free consultation, and my colleague will choose one person, tell it to me at the 10-minute mark, 20-minute mark, and 30-minute mark. I'll say one name or 2 or 3 names, 3 names at that point. And what you have to do is when I say your name, email me, take a screenshot to show that the YouTube page is yours, and so I know it's you that liked, commented, and then we'll schedule a time to talk by video for free. So let's jump into it. Before that, I want to let you know that the Department of State has announced that they're opening up the COVID ban situation. So you got to take everything with a grain of salt. People who are doing fiancé visa cases for China, the EU, Europe, Iran, Brazil, they're prevented from having interviews because there are COVID-19 travel bans against those countries. Department of State has said we removed that for a couple of categories, but in particular, the fiancé visa category. There's been major lawsuits about that, and I've had videos about that before. However, having said that, just because they said we'll still schedule interviews, it's dependent upon the local U.S. embassy where the interview would happen, whether they will or will not schedule an interview and actually do it. So just because they said they're going to do that doesn't mean they actually are. So you got to take that with a grain of salt. Just because they announce this, don't expect something to pop up all of a sudden that says, hey, you got an interview. Hopefully that is the case, but with my experience I've seen with how the government works, it's not usually that cut and dry. Andreas asks, can you travel with AP, Advanced Parole, and domestic flight? Domestic flight, you don't need any immigration status technically to fly domestically. They're not supposed to check immigration status. So if as long as you're flying domestic, and that's a very defined term within the United States and its territories, then yeah, you can fly. You don't need advanced parole, but you have issues sometimes. Imagine you're trying to fly to Florida from Los Angeles, or Los Angeles to Miami, and the plane is not doing well, so it has to do an emergency landing in Mexico. Then you're completely out of luck because you travel internationally with advanced parole. It's rare, but that kind of stuff happens. And sometimes rarely at the airport, depending on your previous status, depending if you have arrest history and stuff, there could be problems. So I need to know your exact case to say the worst case scenario, but generally it is possible to travel. But unless you need to, don't travel. That's why risk it while you're almost at the finishing line. Sherman asks, hi, I'm in removal proceedings, but I got married to a U.S. citizen. What happens to my case? Well, you have to apply for adjustment of status in removal proceedings, but there's problems. One is, did you enter the U.S. lawfully or not? That could be a problem that could, really hurt your case if you didn't. Secondly, when you get married while you're in removal proceedings, there's a higher burden, a higher standard. Removal proceedings is the immigration court to deport you, kick you out of the country. If you get married while you're there, there's more distrust that marriage is real. They don't believe it, so there's a higher standard for them to believe your case. So there's a lot of various things that have to happen. If you're in removal proceedings in general, you have to hire an immigration attorney. The likelihood of success is exponentially higher if you have a lawyer. I don't do removal proceedings myself. I'm not going to make a dime off that, but really just schedule a consultation with an attorney about that, or 2 or 3, to see what they have to say. Malik says, can I travel out of the United States while the I-751 is pending? So form I-751 removal conditions is when you married somebody, the marriage is new. After 2 years, you gave the green card, you file another application, prove that it's real. That form is I-751. Once you get file that I-751, you'll get a receipt, and that receipt acts as an 18-month extension on the now expired green card, so you could travel with the I-751 and the expired green card. Now, if you have any criminal history, if your case is denied while you're out, there's a whole slew of stuff and warnings I have to give, so there's always risks. But generally, it's not a problem to travel as long as you have your paperwork right, and you don't have any major issues. It is possible to travel. Finally asks, I'm on an H-1B, can I be part of a startup that me and my partners are starting? Well, you can always be an owner of a startup, but unless that startup files for H-1B too and work for them, you can't work for them. As an H-1B, you can only work for the petitioner that submitted your case. So having said that, if you could be a co-owner, have shares in some other company, but you can't work there unless they submit an H-1B for you too. And once you own the company that's filed H-1B, it could get more dicey. So you need to consult with an immigration attorney about that. Padillas, is advanced parole for DACA a good idea to adjust in the United States? Well, it's a personal decision. There's risks associated with it. So what happens is with people who have deferred action for child arrival DACA, the ACA for short, if they didn't enter lawfully, they could apply for advanced parole potentially, which is permission to travel and come back. And once they come back to that travel, they can maybe file for a green card and adjust status in the United States. Generally, yeah, it's not a bad idea. People love to do that situation. Whether it's appropriate for you, I don't know. But it's a good thing to do if you can, you know. Changru asks, does a second master's degree with day one CPT impact the marriage green card case? Will I get an RFE if I marry U.S. citizen? So Changru actually emailed me about this, and I described in the email. First day CPT is when you enroll into school and immediately begin working on the first day of enrollment with curricular practical training. The government is cracking down on this. It's still possible to do it. Many people do it, but there's a lot of universities and colleges that offer fake degrees just for the point of giving first day CPT, essentially selling work permits as a scam. And the government has approved a lot of these schools by accident, is not paying attention. So that's why I generally don't like people getting first day CPT, because it may look bad in your case. Now, if you got married to a U.S. citizen, there's no reason to get an RFE on that case. If they think you're fraud, they're going to accuse you of fraud and deny your case. So the RFE thing you're worried about is just something that's completely unrelated. It could happen, but it's not related to what you're asking here. But this is deep enough, especially with the marriage case, that I recommend scheduling a private consultation. So if you're gonna ask, my I-751 extension is expiring soon, what should I do? Can I apply for citizenship? Well, generally, when I have clients who have an I-751 pending and the citizenship time comes, I have them apply. But I have to know your particular unique case to see whether you're sufficiently okay to do that. Like, for example, have you been in the U.S. long enough? Have you been married to U.S. citizens? All this kind of stuff. But you potentially can file. If the I-751 is expiring soon, and you need proof of status for work permit to travel, then you got to get an I-551 green card stamp in your valid passport. So that's about it. Thank you all for joining us today. That's about it. We'll be back here as always Wednesday 5 p.m. Pacific time to take your questions and see how we can help you with this information. If you have a need for a private consultation, email me at info@jqqlaw.com and let me know your question briefly so we see if some of my office handles and we can schedule a paid consultation. Farhan, thank you for the kind words. Nadiga, thank you as well. God bless you. Torina Super, you're welcome. Thank you as well. All sorts of kind words. If you had time and if you wrote these kind words, feel free to go to Google, type in jqqlaw.com or jqqlaw and leave a nice review, just 5 stars. You don't have to say anything, but it always helps out. All right, everyone. God bless. Till next one. Have a good one. Bye-bye. I hope you enjoyed this educational video. We have a second channel with much more information as well at JQK Immigration Clips. Please check that out. Also, you'll find our social media site has a lot more videos, images, and information about the U.S. immigration process. Please check those out on the various social media websites.